just sort of kind of go with the flow and see what happens. But, I spent some time with John and Aaron this summer, and Joey Lane stopped by my house 2 nights ago and spent a couple hours with Barbara and I. And, when you get with those guys, you go through all the things that happened and all the things that we did together, and those are special times.
How does this moment kind of stack up to seeing your name go up in the rafters?
Well, it's right there. I mean, there's no question about that. I think that was a night that kind of blew me away, a lot like this is. And the only difference is when I came over that night, I didn't know that was going to happen. And this, I knew Matt Twiller had called me and told me I was going in probably a couple months ago. So I've had a little more time to kind of get prepared.
You ready for your speech?
Yeah. I'm still trying to decide if I want to go comedy or just what angle I'm going to take with it. But no question. I mean, there's so many people. When you give a speech like this, when you spend 13 years there, I could talk for hours.
Sure.
And I'm not going to do that. So don't worry if you guys are going. I won't do that. But just an opportunity to thank some people.
What was it like to see some of your former guys team up in basketball?
Unbelievable, and so happy for those guys. And it's funny. I'm falling in love with that tournament. I love the format of it and how it works. And like I said, I got to spend 6 hours in the car with John and Aaron arguing all 6 hours, but them guys talking about trying to win the money and that sort of thing. And now you see how important it is to them as they're having, John had twins last Friday, and Jared's got twins on the way, and Aaron's got a little one, Owen, and it's just like they're saying, Coach, I can start to college. And it's like you find out what the real war is really all about.
You talk about not missing the football games, but just in the past 2 years, how many basketball games have you watched?
It's a great question. I would say I don't know if I've really watched a game in its entirety. Now, I have season tickets at Butler. My wife and I both went there. My daughters go there, and it's right around the corner from where I live. So anytime I'm in town, I hit a Butler game. But I just like flipping around. I'll watch the guys that I know that I've worked with or whatever, and I root like crazy for them. But for the most part, it's just kind of fun to sit, watch a game, and not really give a damn what happens.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
All right. The last time that we talked to you, you talked about maybe not missing the sport as much as you thought you would because of where the sport is today. Mm-hmm. Is that more and more true as time goes on, or less and less true?
No, we talked about it earlier, and I think just from the standpoint of I'm curious to see how this whole thing shakes out. When you're in those trenches for as long as I was, a lot of stuff, and unfortunately there's a written rule, nobody talks about it, and but it's going to be interesting because I think back to some of the recruiting battles we had and some of the things that happened and didn't happen, and so from that perspective I'll be interested to see. I don't envy where the NCAA is with this. I mean it's almost impossible for them, but just try to get some more equality back into college basketball. And Chris and I talked the other day, and I think the way he's doing it is perfect. I mean, I commend him for how he's recruiting.
You want to talk about some of those stories now?
No. There's no question, but it's funny because I've said this before. The greatest thing, and maybe the worst thing that ever happened to me in my time at Ohio State, was getting Greg and Michael, because everybody here thought we should get them every year. But the landscape changed, and I couldn't go to the press conference and say, hey, this is where it is, and but I wouldn't trade those two for anything.
When you say the landscape changed, what do you mean exactly?
Well, I think all the things that you're seeing now has escalated, and but I'd probably be careful what I'm saying, sure. But yeah, not really, I don't give a damn.
It is funny, though, when you say that, because you say that, like, it's the unwritten rule that you don't talk about it, and even when you're here, you say that stuff.
Right.
How much have you thought about that? And I know you said that.
When's your book coming out? In other words?
Oh, I know. I always had, when I was coaching, 2 titles for the book. One was, "Do you really want to know?" And the other one was, "You're right. It's my fault your son missed the jump shot." So I think from that standpoint, every coach in the country would pick up the book about the son missing the jump shot. So.
What's your stress? How much is your stress level down? Would you say, if you could put a percentage on it compared to when you were in the midst of it, if that's even possible?
Yeah. Oh God, 90%. I mean, quite honestly, it's funny. I 2 weeks ago became an empty nester, and so I think from that standpoint, we can travel more. We can do the things that Barbara and I have always wanted to do, and but no, the stress of it was nonstop, and I've said this as a coach, a successful coach, you got to be in a bad mood all the time. I mean, something you always have to find what's wrong so you can fix it, and that's just how it is. I mean, it is what it is, and day after day after day after day, it takes its toll on you a little bit. But it's the stress has definitely eased off.
What's the most stressful thing you do right now?
Right now, trying to train these 2 idiot dogs I have, and stop them from digging to China every day in my backyard. And one of them is a paranoid retriever. He brings everything back because he's so dumb he can't remember what I threw. So he brings everything back, and I'm trying to break him of that. But that's a pretty stressful thing. Trying to beat my time on an elliptical machine every day is pretty stressful. I'm up to walking like 4 or 5 miles a day, and I get real competitive with myself and that sort of thing. But that's about it. Maybe what I'm going to put on the green egg at night.
Looking at things like you do miss about coaching, but you say your stress level's down. What's the number one thing you don't miss?
I gotta be careful in case I go back into coaching. I tell you what I miss the most is just the camaraderie of a group of guys, a good group of guys, and bringing a group together and getting them to play the right way. I don't miss the misperception of fans, of parents in recruiting. I still used to laugh when a parent would walk in and say, "My son's a pro," and I'm like, "No, he's not. Pros' arms are longer than everybody else's. Their fingers are longer. They're shaped different. They think different." And but nobody wants to hear that. And at times I was probably too truthful.
That you and Jim kind of went out. Is every time you come back get a little easier? Is there some closure? Forgiveness is too strong a word, but where are you?
I am perfectly fine. And the thing that I'm most excited about is the program is doing well. And I think I know this for a fact. We left this program a lot better than we found it, and I think with that said, it's funny because I remember Lou Holtz once told me, he says, never stay more than 7 years at a place, because he said the longer you stay, the more you fall in love with it, but the more they fall in love with you. And if you remember, in year 8, we started 24-0, and I still remember walking off the floor, and people were like, "Coach, you only won by 12." And I'm like, he was right. He was right. It's turning on me. And but we still had great times after that. There's no question about that. But no, it's hey, I'm a Buckeye and love this place and always will.
That you accomplished so much here. What's the thing that you're proudest of? Like the thing that you want them to mention first when they introduce you as a Hall of Famer?
Without a doubt, we did it the right way. That to me is the number one thing I want people to know is all the success we had, the Big Ten championships, the Final Fours, the Big Ten tournament championships, the NIT championships. It was done the right way.